All right, hold on. This just came through. A major Social Security decision has been made under the Trump administration, and it's happening right in the middle of a government shutdown. Yes, you heard that right. Increases, policy changes, and millions of Americans are wondering, what does this actually mean for my check? Let's break it down. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Tony from Retirees Benefits, and I help everyday Americans make sense of Social Security, retirement benefits, and policy changes that actually affect your wallet. I've been covering these updates for years, and today, this one's big. So stick with me. I promise to keep it simple and real. So here's what's happening. Multiple outlets are reporting that despite the partial government shutdown, the Trump administration has pushed through a decision on Social Security adjustments for 2025. Now, we're talking about COLA increases, that's cost of living adjustments, and some procedural changes that could affect when and how benefits are distributed. Headlines are saying things like, Social Security survives shutdown, and Trump administration approves benefit increase amid budget chaos, and people are confused. Because normally, when the government shuts down, things grind to a halt. But Social Security? It's a little different. It's considered mandatory spending, which means it keeps running even when Congress can't agree on a budget. But here's the catch. There are some changes being discussed, and not everyone is happy about them. So let's get into it. But first, I want to hear from you. Do you think the COLA increase for 2025 is enough to keep up with real living costs? Like, are we actually keeping pace with rent, groceries, medications? Drop a comment below and let me know what you're seeing in your own life. I read every single one. Okay, so let me explain what's actually going on here in plain English. Every year, Social Security beneficiaries are supposed to get a COLA, a cost of living adjustment. This is designed to help your benefits keep up with inflation. The Social Security Administration calculates this based on something called the CPIW, which tracks prices for urban workers. For 2025, the COLA increase is sitting at around 2.5%. Now that might sound decent on paper, but here's the reality. A lot of seniors are saying that doesn't reflect what they're actually spending. We're talking about rising costs in healthcare, housing, and food, things that hit retirees harder than the average worker. Now, why is this decision coming through during a shutdown? Well, like I said, Social Security is funded through its own trust fund. It doesn't rely on annual appropriations from Congress. So even if the government is partially shut down, Social Security checks still go out. The administration still processes these adjustments. That part is automatic. But, and this is where it gets interesting, there's been talk about changes to how benefits are calculated in the future. Some proposals floating around include adjusting the formula, changing eligibility ages, or even means testing benefits. Meaning, if you have other income, you might get less Social Security. That's not happening right now, but it's on the table. And that's what's got people nervous. What does a 2.5% increase actually look like in dollars? Well, if you're getting the average Social Security benefit, which is about $1.800 per month, you're looking at an extra $45 a month. That's $540 a year. Now, for some people, that's meaningful. But when you factor in rising costs across the board, especially in healthcare, that money disappears fast. And that's the frustration we're hearing from millions of beneficiaries right now. Here's another thing to consider, the timing of all this. We're in the middle of a shutdown, tensions are high in Washington, and yet this announcement came through relatively smoothly. Why? Because Social Security is one of those programs that both parties know they can't mess with too much. It's politically toxic to even suggest cutting Social Security benefits outright. But behind the scenes, there are definitely discussions happening about how to reform the system without making it look like a cut. That's the political dance we're watching right now. So here's where opinions split, and honestly, this is one of the most heated debates in Washington right now. On one side, you've got people saying, look, Social Security is running out of money. We need to make tough choices now, or there won't be anything left for future generations. They argue that adjustments, like raising the retirement age or trimming benefits for wealthier retirees, are necessary to save the program. Some economists suggest switching to a different inflation measure, one that might result in smaller annual increases. They say it's about fiscal responsibility and ensuring the program survives another 50 years. On the other side, you've got advocates and beneficiaries saying, "We paid into this system our whole lives. This isn't a handout, it's our money." And a 2.5% increase doesn't come close to covering what we're actually spending. They point out that healthcare alone is rising faster than inflation, and that many seniors are already choosing between medication and food. They argue that cutting benefits or raising the retirement age disproportionately hurts lower-income workers who rely on Social Security as their primary income source. There's also a generational divide here that's worth mentioning. Younger workers are looking at Social Security and thinking, "Will there be anything left for me when I retire?" They're paying into the system right now, but they're skeptical about whether they'll see those benefits in 30 or 40 years. Meanwhile, current retirees are saying, "I paid in for 40 years. I earned this." Both perspectives are understandable, and that's what makes this such a difficult issue to solve. Both sides have valid points, but the reality is, if nothing changes, the Social Security Trust Fund is projected to run out by 2034. That doesn't mean benefits disappear completely, but it does mean they'd be cut by about 20% unless Congress steps in. So yeah, the pressure is real. And every administration, Trump's included, is going to face this question. How do we fix Social Security without making it worse for the people who need it most? All right, if you're finding this helpful, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I break down these updates every single week so you don't have to dig through 100 confusing articles. And if you want updates sent straight to your inbox, I've got a free email list. Link is in the description. No spam, just the facts. I send out breakdowns like this, plus exclusive tips on maximizing your benefits and staying ahead of policy changes. So go ahead and sign up. It takes like 10 seconds. Now, this decision doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's connected to a bigger conversation happening right now about inflation, federal spending, and what the government's priorities are during a shutdown. Here's what a lot of people don't realize. Even though Social Security payments continue during a shutdown, other services don't. For example, new Social Security card applications? Delayed. Benefit verification letters? Delayed. If you're trying to appeal a decision or get help from a local Social Security office, good luck, because those offices might be running with skeleton crews or closed entirely. So while your check still arrives, the support systems around Social Security can freeze up, and that creates real problems for people who are already dealing with tight budgets and limited resources. Imagine you're trying to verify your benefits for a loan application, or you need to update your information because of a life change, marriage, divorce, death of a spouse. Those processes can get stuck during a shutdown, and that's incredibly stressful. Also, let's talk about Medicare for a second, because a lot of Social Security recipients are also on Medicare, and Medicare premiums often get deducted directly from your Social Security check. If Medicare premiums go up, and they have been, that eats into your COLA increase before you even see it. So a 2.5% bump might only feel like 1% after those deductions. That's something people need to understand. In fact, for 2025, Medicare Part B premiums are expected to rise slightly. Not a huge jump, but enough to take a bite out of your COLA. And if you're on Medicare Advantage or have supplemental coverage, those costs could be going up too. So when people see that 2.5% increase announced, they think, great, more money. But then reality hits, and they realize they're barely breaking even. That's the disconnect that frustrates so many retirees. And let's be real for a second. Grocery prices, utility bills, property taxes, they're not going down. In many parts of the country, housing costs are still climbing. So even if your Social Security check goes up by 2.5%, if your rent or mortgage payment, your energy bill, and your food costs are all rising faster than that, you're actually losing ground. That's the lived experience for millions of people, and that's why these COLA announcements, while important, often feel like they're not enough. All right, let's recap everything we've covered today. The Trump administration has confirmed a 2.5% COLA increase for Social Security in 2025. And yes, it's moving forward even during the shutdown. That's the good news. The not-so-good news. That increase might not stretch as far as you'd hope, especially with rising healthcare and living costs. And there are bigger conversations happening about eligibility, benefit formulas, and the long-term future of the program. We also talked about how shutdowns affect Social Security services, even if the checks keep coming. And we discussed Medicare premium increases that can reduce your actual take-home increase. All of this matters because it affects your day-to-day life and your financial security. So here's my second question for you. What do you think the government should do to fix Social Security long-term? Should they raise taxes, cut benefits for higher earners, raise the retirement age? Or is there another solution I'm missing? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what you all think. And be respectful. I know this topic gets people fired up, but let's keep it constructive. All right, that's it for today. If you found this helpful, smash that like button, share it with someone who needs to know, and subscribe if you haven't already. I've got more Social Security updates, retirement tips, and policy breakdowns coming your way all week long. Seriously, we're going to dive into Medicare changes, SSI updates, and what's happening with disability benefits. You don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves, and remember, stay informed, stay prepared, and don't let these policy changes catch you off guard.